Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a Cerakote headlight restoration kit on this 2013 Toyota Prius. I know this is not a vehicle that you would use in an RV application. It certainly can't tow anything and it's not dinghy towable, but it does have polycarbonate headlights. This one is not terribly oxidized, but you might be able to see that on the top it's a little bit cloudy, and that's caused by micro cracks and things like that. So before they get worse, I figured I would do a headlight restoration on these. When I was looking at headlight restoration kits and pricing, there were a few different newer products on the market that I had not used before. And one of them is a product by Cerakote, which many of you may know makes a lot of powder coating products. And they have a headlight restoration kit that does not require any power tools, which I thought was interesting. And also, it had a ton of very good reviews online, and it came in at under $20 with shipping. So I figured, you know what, let's give it a try. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go step by step on these headlights, one headlight at a time per the Cerakote instructions, and we're going to see how they turn out. Probably the most time-consuming part of the process is thoroughly masking the edges around the headlight to protect the paint from the sanding process that we're going to be doing here. Take your time, do it right. Depending on which vehicle, it's going to take a little bit more time. Like this one is a Prius, as I mentioned earlier, and it's got these aerodynamic headlight housings, and they take a lot longer than, say, a square headlight on a truck. But you want to get in there and make sure that all the edges are carefully masked off. It'll be worth your time. And from this angle also, I noticed you can see a little bit better that cracking, those micro cracks along the top of the headlight. We are going to do one headlight at a time, but I'm going to go ahead and mask both of them. The kit comes with these headlight restoration kit oxidation remover packets, and they look like this. And the process, according to Cerakote, is to just do gentle circular motion all around the headlight. And this is, you can see why we mask this, so it doesn't get anywhere on the paint. And on these little edges we can kind of move along. We can't really do a circular motion on these, but we can kind of go down the sides there. And as I've noted, most of this is on the top of the headlight. So we're going to come around here. Now, they've noted that it could turn yellow if there's a lot of oxidation, but this one doesn't have a lot of oxidation, but there is some yellow and some gray, but it's probably picking up some of the embedded dirt on there. Most of what we have on this particular headlight are these little scratches, and there's also some pitting from rocks and dust, dirt, things like that over the years. They give us 8 of these, so there's no need to kind of flip it over and use it again. Just throw it aside and get yourself another one. Okay, so we finished scrubbing both the headlights with the step 1 oxidation remover, and I feel like maybe it's my imagination, but the headlight's already starting to look a little bit better. I'm sure it's still shiny from the product that we put on there, but the next step is to just rinse it off really good with a spray bottle and wipe it down and get the product off of it. All right. That looks pretty good. And it does recommend that you do both headlights at the same time. So although I said I was going to do one at a time, there's only going to be one done on camera for now, but I am going to clean the other one as well. The next step is to use step 2, which are these little sanding discs that apply to this applicator. Doesn't that make sense? They apply to the applicator. The backside is purple or burgundy for the first stage. The face of them are both gray. Super, super fine. Just meant to remove scratches and not actually dig into the plastic or damage anything. But the first step is also to wet, again, the surface and the applicator. And this one does not require you to use circular motions. They prefer that you do straight motions. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to stay away from the edges for now, because we're going to have to do that by hand. Come along here, and you might be able to see some of that already coming off, running down the lens. Now the reason they say don't do circular motions for this is that you can get swirl marks in the plastic, just like you would if you polished your car and you didn't know what you were doing. But as we go, we're going to continue to spray that off and remove some of that plastic that's on there, and it'll also help us see where we have not gotten yet. So this part needs a little bit more. And I'm going to go back and forth on this. Pretty amazing how much plastic or polycarbonate is coming off of this as we go. Give this another rinse. Now, they say the headlight should look foggy after you're done cleaning it, and this one does. Any areas that don't look foggy, like here, hopefully you can see that, don't look that foggy, and that's because that's recessed. So that's where I'm going to take this pad and I'm going to do this part by hand. And depending on which kind of headlight you have, you're going to probably need to do the same thing. In fact, that's kind of easier in some ways than using the applicator. But you can't use the applicator in these corners. This is a very, like I said before, a very aerodynamic, curved type of headlight lens. And it makes it difficult to use the applicator that they give you unless it's a more uniform or flat surface. Now this one is done being sanded, and you can tell that it's kind of got a foggy appearance to it, which is exactly what Cerakote says you want. If it has any shiny bits left on it, as I stated earlier, that means you need to go over it again. But this headlight, I think, is looking pretty good. Happy with the results so far. And of course, we're not on to stage 3 yet. That's coming as soon as I get the other headlight done. Okay, now we've done both of the headlights with the first disc, and they have that very, sorry, that's the water heater going on. They have that very cloudy look to them now, which is what we want. And then we're going to repeat the process with these green disc, which is even smoother than the other one. So that just applies on the edge like this. It's a hook and loop fastener type of thing. I didn't show that in the last one. It's on there nice and straight. And so then we're going to wet the surface again. And wet the surface of our pad again. And start the process all over again. Okay, so now we've gone through and done the green disc on the headlights, and the next step is to dry them off completely, because the other product, the coating that protects the polycarbonate, doesn't want to be wet. So we need to make sure that these headlight housings are completely dry. It is recommended that you spray, or I should not say spray, use a air compressor nozzle to get the headlight surfaces super dry. I don't have that, so I'm just going to give this a good drying, and then maybe take the car down the freeway with its funny green eyeshadow and give them a chance to get completely dry before we apply the final phase. Okay, we're back from our drive to make sure that the headlights have dried. All told, we probably spent about 20 minutes of driving in some about 70-degree weather, so we should be good. This is the most crucial part of the application process, apparently. You only do one coating, so you can't go back and go over it again. You do single strokes and overlap, so that's what we're going to do. This is the only product in here that has any odor to it, this ceramic clear coating. The other ones have no odor or very little odor. This one smells pretty strong, so if you're doing it in your garage, I would leave the door open or a window open in your shop or whatever. All right, so let's get to it. Hopefully this goes right. Gonna start down here, right here, and go along just like this. And we'll stop at the middle of the headlight beam, let's say. And we can kind of come back over here again. Now, I've not done this before. I am not kidding around with you like, oh yeah, this is my first time. This is actually my very first time doing this. I've never used this product before. They did not supply the product to me. This is a totally honest review and application. So 50% overlap. I think we did that. They say don't go over it again. So I'm not going to do that. But look what it's doing to our lenses. They are looking, oops, I did not get all that on there, so I'm just going to scoop it on there a little bit. So that's kind of a double, but nothing I can do about that one. I don't think it's that crucial, honestly. There we go. And that little bit there. And there's There's a little tiny bit there that I'm going to get. That's not double doing it because we haven't touched it yet. Same with this right here. I'm going to come over the side and make sure there's anything I missed. Oops. Nope, that looks all good. And again, look how shiny that looks now. It looks really, really good. Looks like a new headlight, which is what it's supposed to look like. Wow. These now have to sit for about an hour before you can do any driving. They recommend you keep it in a dry, clean place, like a garage or a shop. And that's one headlight down and one to go. Okay guys, the headlights have now cured for about an hour, and the results are pretty darn good, I gotta say. They are not perfect, and they shouldn't be perfect because they're not brand new, but they are about 100 times better than they were. The only thing I would say is that some of the scratches right up in between the two lenses, right around here, are not completely gone, but it's still, like I say, so much better than they were. And for the price, under $20 and a little bit of elbow grease, I think you'd be very happy with the results. Doing this in under 30 minutes, like the packaging says, is pretty much wishful thinking. That's not going to happen unless you've done it a lot of times. I can't imagine you being able to do it in less than an hour. And then it's still going to require an hour to cure this final coating. So I would give myself at least 2 hours. So don't do this if you have plans later on in the day, because you might not get it all done. There is quite a bit of labor in applying this product as far as your hands are concerned. There is probably an advantage to using a machine, but the disadvantage to using a machine is that you need the machine, and also I would imagine it's going to leave swirl marks. So being able to control the direction of what you're applying, I think it's probably an advantage, and it's certainly cheaper than a lot of other products. So overall, yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's a good product, and you can see I did it my first time. Give it a shot, see what you think. Next step is to replace these awful halogen headlights, and that's going to be in another video.